following the Crypto Factor, you know our views on Kaspa. We got into Kaspa early, and a lot of you are asking, what's going to happen with Kaspa? Where is Kaspa going? So I found Kaspa for you. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about Kaspa. Why do people in Kaspa need to hold what's coming to Kaspa? But also, why should people get into Kaspa? Of course, not as in financial advice, but what's so unique about it?
It's essentially the best layer one. I mean, you could write a list, a desiderata of all of the properties you want a layer one to have, and Kaspa, I think, is the only layer one in the world that actually has them. It's proof of work. It gives you all of the security of proof of work. It's decentralized like proof of work, but it's as fast and as performant as proof of stake. So it's the whole enchilada. It gives you everything you could have ever wished for from a decentralized network. I don't think any other network in the world can check these on so many desired properties as Kaspa.
And Shai, what's your role in Kaspa for the viewers real quick?
Kaspa is a community project, so we don't have this formal hierarchy, we don't have a company or a business entity. I joined the project before it was Kaspa. I worked in DAG Labs. I've been involved in developing this thing since about 2016, 2017. My contributions are mostly theoretical. I wrote the security proof for GhostDAG. I designed some of the algorithms, the pruning mechanism, not alone, but I was part of designing the pruning mechanism. I designed the difficulty adjustment, all sorts of theoretical problems that needed solutions. This was my job at DAG Labs, to come and find solutions. And since the mainnet launched, I'm also a part of the theoretical effort, but I think I took this kind of role of a narrator. I took the responsibility of taking all of the awesome tech and the alien tech and the advanced ideas that are in Kaspa and all of the ingenuity and try to expose it to the world and to explain it and to educate. I see myself like someone who is trying to educate and to have the world recognize the amazing thing that was accomplished here.
And your role in Kaspa, and your name, sorry, just for our viewers.
Yeah, my name is Eyal, Fishtuna on Twitter. That's what people know me for. Okay. So Shai explained about the technology and why Kaspa is such an awesome technology. I wanted to elaborate more on the things to come. Also, not financial advice, just for your viewers. So the Rust rewrite, the node rewrite, has just launched. It's basically a complete rewrite of the node. The original node was written in Golang. At the time, we didn't know if it's going to work. It was like a patchwork of code, basically. And eventually, it did launch with the Golang, but it was hard to scale with the Golang node. And therefore, there was a 2-year-old project led by Michael Sutton to rewrite everything, re-engineer everything for parallelized computing to take advantage of Kaspa parallelism. And basically, this sets us up forward to increase the block rate. So already on testnet, we increased the block rate to 10 blocks per second. That's 10 times faster than mainnet. And Jonathan expressed his dream several times to go beyond, 100 blocks per second and maybe beyond. That opens up for so many use cases. So that's one, the Rust rewrite, which took 2 years and has finally matured.
I just want to comment on this. I resent your statement that the Golang code is a patchwork. It's actually a very impressive code base, but when you do something for the second time, you will always do it better. We learned a lot of lessons along the way.
That's a better way to represent that.
And another important thing about the Rust implementation, before you go on, that besides being much more efficient, it also brings a much improved API for people who want to build stuff over it. It essentially exposes all of the main functions to WebAssembly. It paves the way for a browser extension. It makes it extremely easier to integrate into exchanges and such, or extremely easier for web developers who wants to integrate Kaspa into their web applications, for example. So it's
definitely. It's been hard because Kaspa is such new tech. It's been hard for developers to build with it. All the concepts are new. It's block DAG. The calculating confirmations is hard. Integrating has been hard, and with the Rust node, it should be easier. It's also, the code is packaged into one executable. It's more secure. You can't execute arbitrary code. It's basically a piece of art, I think.
Yeah, the code base is extremely impressive. It's, I think, one of the more impressive code bases in the space. Remarkable job.
I have to ask something here because a lot of viewers are comparing, or let me phrase it a bit differently. They see Kaspa as competition to Bitcoin, but the way I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, it's more of a parallel or no introduction. What's the word I'm looking for? A concept, a new introduction, if you will. Would you say it's a parallel thing, or would you say you're competing with it?
I think it's like a new paradigm, right? So Bitcoin paved the way, introduced proof of work, introduced decentralized consensus, and Kaspa just does the same. We didn't want to deviate from Bitcoin and from Bitcoin ethos and culture and all that. We didn't want to deviate in all the things that make Bitcoin great. We only deviated where it was vital to make Bitcoin fast. So it's not as much about the throughput, it's about the speed. Right. Speed creates better user experience.
Confirmation speed.
Confirmation times, just driving down confirmation times to internet latency.
Like a POS, like confirmations on a proof of work network, is the huge ingenuity here.
So that also goes to the second thing to look forward to, Dagnite, which the research has been done, the paper has been submitted to conferences and being peer-reviewed. I don't know if it is already peer-reviewed, but will be peer-reviewed. It was peer-reviewed. And I think Michael Sutton already mentioned that he's starting to write code snippets for it and tinker with that. So the thing to look forward in Dagnite is that it will automatically adjust to internet latency, and it gives two great benefits. One, scale up and scale down as hardware improves. Remove the barrier for scaling. Remove the barrier for speed, or the bottleneck from the software to the hardware and to internet latency. So as that hardware improves, internet latency decreases and improves, the protocol will adjust to that, and we won't have to do hard forks or any changes.
I think the main issue here is that today you need to take a margin of error, because if you assume that if you see that the network latency is 2 seconds, you have to assume that it is 10 seconds, because if you go over your assumption, then you pay in security.
Exactly.
Dagnite knows how to adjust itself to network conditions, so you don't need this margin of error anymore, because if the network will deteriorate, then it would scale the confirmation times accordingly. So this means that you don't, we say that stuff works at the speed of the internet, but there is an asterisk here. Stuff works at the speed that you can assume the internet could provide you 99% of the time.
That's the important distinction.
This asterisk, it could make the response time 5 times higher, because you go from 2 seconds to 10 seconds. And in Dagnite, you don't have to do it, because you get this auto-scaling. And the thing is, we don't know of any way to do this with proof of stake. We even conjecture that it's impossible for proof of stake. And if that's true, it means that proof of work is inherently more reactive than proof of stake. It could be, we don't know how to prove it, but it might be just the universal truth of the matter, that being responsive and self-scaling is another thing that only proof of work can do, similarly to providing 51% security.
So basically in every other protocol that exists, the developers have to hard code into the protocol a parameter that is their assumption of what the current internet latency is for...
It's not current. What would be a bound that holds 99% of the time?
Yeah, for the security, for their block size, for whatever.
Yeah, they say it's unreasonable that the network will deteriorate so much that it would now go for above 10 seconds for 2 hours.
And they always have to take a cushion, right? If the latency is 2 seconds, the margin error. They have to take a margin error. So with Dagnite, you don't have to take that. It'll self-adjust if the internet latency becomes better. And it'll also, in case there is some catastrophe and the internet slows down for the entire world, it'll also react and act securely. The second thing is it's more of the same. It's like a different way maybe to explain this, but it'll also self-adjust to an attacker of different sizes, right? So it'll always set like behind the scenes in the code, right? It'll set a parameter that defend against any 51% attacker. Is that a good way to say it?
I actually didn't understand this explanation.
Okay, so Michael Sam told me that.
Interesting. We have a debate going on right here.
Yeah. So that if at any point in time when the protocol recognizes when there are too many blocks in parallel at the same time, it'll set K there isn't a K, but also it has to always set resize K, right? There's a dynamic K, so it'll dynamically change K to defend against 51% attack at all times.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. You need if you look at the network right now,
it's a beautiful view. Okay, there you go.
You see essentially that all of the blocks are blue.
Yeah.
Now in our coloring, we assume that we don't only need the majority of the blocks to be blue.
What's the red one? Just kidding. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine. We can operate securely if we have 5% red blocks. But you see that we have much less than that. So this essentially means that we are running at a much lower performance than we could have, because we could have increased the rate of the network up to the 5% point. But the reason we can't really do it is exactly that we need the margin of error. If we put it on the limit, then any deterioration of the network conditions will ruin the security. So in DagNight, we know how to adjust K automatically such that all of the time we will be on this perfect spot, and then you don't even have to make it 5%, because this is also kind of margin of error. You can make it 49%. You'll say, I want to find a structure that makes the majority of the blocks blue, but the smallest majority is enough. You don't need to go beyond it. And this is but this is really going into the nitty-gritty of how it works.
I want to ask something else though. We all hear about the good things about Kaspa. We talk about the good things. What are some of the, not downfalls or pitfalls, but what do you need to take care about? Are you worried about something, or is there something that's bad and you still need to fix when it comes to Kaspa?
I'm not worried about anything for once, because I see the trajectory that this project is taking, and I'm very pleased to see what is going on. There are still things that need to be done. I think the biggest hurdle is because it's such a paradigm shift, we need to do fundamental works that cookie cutter projects don't need to do. So it kind of gives them some competitive edge over us. Like now we have this completely new way of doing a blockchain. And first of all, we need to educate people. Not enough people understand how it works, and it's much harder to understand how it works. And we need to develop all of the API and all of the abstract layers above it to accommodate this more complex structure. And just, I don't think people understand. Just having this working Golang code base, it wasn't a hobby project. It cost millions of dollars. It took a team, like a varying team, there were people coming and going, but on average, at every point, at least 12, 13 very talented people worked on it at the same time, and it still took 5-6 years to come out with the first mainnet version. So there is a lot of development complexity, and we want to take this backbone and make it so people could use it and be completely agnostic to the alien take behind you. Like, I like the vehicle analogy. At the end of the day, if you sell someone a vehicle, they drive it the same, right? They don't know that.
Not if you're Greek.
Or Italian.
There you go.
Or in Bnei Brak, But at the end of the day, we need to make these abstractions, because people who want to write games and want to write exchanges and all of this cool stuff, they shouldn't care about what's under the hood. And making this abstraction, it happens. Like I said, there was a huge overhaul of the API in the Rust codebase, and one of the reasons for that is that as we worked with developers to integrate Kaspa, and we've seen what kind of things they required, they needed to implement, because there wasn't an API, and we knew what we need to add. And one of the developers, Anton, and he tends to be correct. He argues that the work of I really hope I'm not misquoting him, right? But if I remember correctly, what he said, that the work of integrating Kaspa into a new exchange before Rust was something that required a team of engineers to work on for a week, and after Rust, a single engineer could know in an afternoon. That's what he claims, if I remember correctly, and if he says so, then it's probably true.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions from my community, from the Crypto Factor. So what I want to do is maybe we can arrange so we can have an AMA on our channel. We would could we do that together? Yes?
Today.
Not today. Maybe we could do it online. Sure. And that way we can, because I know there's a lot of questions. I know you have a lot of questions. So what I'm going to bring Team Kaspa live to the Crypto Factor. So make sure you subscribe down below and hit the bell notification button and make sure you check out Kaspa. Where can people learn more?
Sure, but I'll just say in advance a disclaimer, I'm not going to answer any question that starts with the word when.
No, of course not. Just why.
Just why or how. I like how questions, I like why questions. I don't like when questions.
I wanted to add that...
when moon.
What I'm worried about, what I'm not worried about, and what I am worried about. Yeah. So what I'm not worried about is technology, the way the community is growing, the way the community is growing organically. Just walking around in this conference today, I did a stroll around the booths, and I've been on our booth for the majority of them, but also did a stroll around the booth. We have here just volunteers, right? Ambassadors that, yes, the community sponsored them coming here.
Nobody here gets paid.
Nobody here is getting paid.
No one here
even
is
us, right?
at the job right now. No one.
Oh wait, you mean I'm not getting paid for this? Forget this interview. No, just kidding. Okay, come back.
The level of knowledge that these guys have about the project is astonishing, right? They know a lot. They understand the technology deeply. When I'm walking around, I don't want to diss like other projects. It's just like a general feel that I feel. It's like people working, people on some day job, right? Something. You ask them questions, they don't always know how to explain.
Yeah.
They know like the first couple of sentences.
They usually delegate it to you.
It's a pitch. It's a pitch.
Yes.
It's a pitch,
so
and those are people that are like got this gig. From here, if people ask you too complicated questions, then tell them, refer them to the community, which is fine. It's not a criticism. But where you see here, like this array of people, each one of them from a different country.
Good-looking people.
The Spanish ambassador, the French ambassador, the Polish ambassador. We have Japanese ambassadors. We have Australian ambassadors. We have ambassadors in Uganda and in Ghana.
Yeah. We are ambassadors. We have ambassadors everywhere.
And so these people who are really passionate about the projects and they understand it and they love it and know it. So it just, without criticizing anyone else, like, these people are businesses who promote themselves, and it's fine, but you can see the difference in approach between the corporate approach and the community approach.
No, I see a competitive approach from Kaspa, but it's also a move of passion and love. It's not that you want to put people down, it's that you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah, and of course we are competitive, because...
You have to be, man. It's business. I'm competitive.
You have to be. It's our brainchild. Of course. We love it, and we want it to succeed.
So that's what I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about where the technology is going. As advanced as technology is, as much of an improvement of the current state of the art that this project has contributed to the crypto community, it's keeping on doing it. There's always more, always new solutions to problems that bother the entire space, right, being solved, which is awesome. Where I am like a little bit worried, or it's not worried, it's just not concerned, but just like
aware that there is work to be done.
Aware exactly that we need to invest in these areas is community education, so more educational material, more community education.
I'm just gonna say, without keeping it mysterious, that soon there will be a medium, big-ish announcement about some effort with regards.
When?
Soon.
Okay, so that's awesome. I don't know. I mean, I'll ask Shahir later. But the other thing is obviously with use cases, right, and usage. But that's like with a caveat, right? Because we do see things happening there, and the nice thing is that it's not all happening from a few core team or core members. It's like a horizontal thing that's happening across community. You see things happening from here, from there, from different places, groups developing things on the platform. And this is exciting. I think this is truly exciting to me.
Perfect. So let's arrange the AMA for our audience. We can talk more about it, because I see there's so much to talk about. I'm really excited. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for your interest.
Thank you, and we'll talk soon.